helter-skelter. Two words that defined one of the darkest and most infamous chapters in American criminal history. Two words that sold millions of books, shaped a sensational trial, and convinced the world it understood exactly what the Manson family was and why they killed. For nearly 6 decades, that has been the accepted narrative. And for a long time, I believed it too. Then I started asking different questions. I spent 3 years researching and writing my book, The Manson Family, More to the Story, because I believed the real truth was buried underneath that narrative. I discovered that before the verdicts, before the trials, before the arrests in Death Valley, and long before the killings in the summer swelter of 1969, they were just young people in a turbulent era, seekers, drifters, believers, drawn toward something that felt, in those early days, like the most beautiful thing they'd ever experienced. This podcast is that story. By February, Mary had entered her final trimester. What should have been an exciting time in her pregnancy was marred by the inconsistency of their life and Charlie's anger. The others noted that from time to time, Mary sported a black eye. When pressed, Charlie threatened Lynn or Susan to shut up about it. Manson admitted that something dark took hold of him while living at the spiral staircase. From the book Manson, in his own words, is told to NUEL EMMONS, published in 1986 by Grove Press.
I had bad vibes about being there. I would observe and listen to all of the practices and rituals of the different groups that visited the place. I'm not into sacrificing some animal or drinking its blood to get a better charge out of sex, nor am I into chaining someone and whipping them to get my kicks like some of those people were. Love and doing our own thing was what held us together. But the things I was exposed to at the staircase may have come back to me.
Whatever the reason, Charlie was changing in early '68. None of his women left, but they sensed a moodiness, a difference in him. Up until this time, there were very few hints of Manson's rage. He was charming, witty, and warm to virtually everyone, according to later testimony. Nobody knew how dangerous things would become or how hard it would be to walk away. Charlie had 6 women to split his time if he grew weary of any one of them. It's hard to understand why he would have grown angry or violent with Mary, a pregnant woman who'd been nothing but kind and loving to him. From her 2017 memoir, Member of the Family, My Story of Charles Manson, Life Inside His Cult, and the Darkness That Ended the '60s, published by William Morrow, Dianne Lake remembered the first time she faced Charlie's temper.
We were in the kitchen preparing some food when Charlie walked in. I thought he just came in to check on when the food was going to be done, but he was clearly distressed. He took some ice out of an ice tray in the Frigidaire, put it in a dish towel, and held it to his mouth. His eyes looked different. I tried to get his attention because he didn't seem in a very good mood. I hated seeing him unhappy, and my instinct was to distract him from whatever was bothering him. "Charlie, where are we going from here?" I asked. "Don't ask questions," he snapped. "Can I help you with anything?" I asked. "Do you want some food?" Before I knew what was happening, he dropped the ice pack into the sink and whacked me across the face. I slipped back and landed on the floor. "Do I look like I want any food?" He spat. Charlie said, "You needed me to do that, little one. You have never had any man teach you when to speak or when to be quiet. The man is the head of the household, and you have never had a man or a father. You will learn to be a woman. He kissed me on the forehead.
Charlie also frequently butted heads with Susan, whom he began calling Sadie Mae Glutz, as though she were putting on airs. Her nickname eventually morphed into Sexy Sadie, but that was not until he heard the White Album at the end of the year. Susan was a force of nature. She had a soft, childlike voice, but a fierce and stubborn will, and for all he tried, Charlie never truly broke her.
Let me tell you something about Sadie.
Charlie disclosed years later in a 1985 interview with High Society magazine.
Sadie was always coming to me and saying, "Do you love me?" And I'd say, "Do you love you?" She would say, "Tell me you love me. Do I look pretty?" And I'd say, "Tell yourself you look pretty. Do I have to go around like a little puppy dog saying, 'Oh, you look good. Oh, you sure look nice,' and all that bullshit?"
In her book, Child of Satan, Child of God, published in 1977 by Logos International, Sadie admitted that she had
a craving for attention, and he did not give me attention to the degree I was begging for.
She was also the only woman who gave shit right back to Charlie. He must have both hated and respected her for that. It is rumored that Manson rarely had sex with Sadie. Conversely, he was the only one who usually made love with the hypersensitive Lynette. That February, Sadie took off with a man named Bruce Van Hall, aka Bruce Bluestein, who also agreed to pretend to be married to 14-year-old Dianne if the police hassled them. When Bruce Davis fully integrated with the group later, the women differentiated the two by calling Bruce Davis Old Bruce and Bruce Van Hall New Bruce. Sadie was gone with Hall for several weeks, and when she returned, she was pregnant. She claimed another man, a drifter that she met after she departed ways with Hall, as the father, although Manson believed the baby was his for a time. Pregnancy only made her more impulsive and headstrong. Sadie continued to defy Charlie and to flout his authority. She was also dropping so much acid the first months that the women held an intervention. Dr. David Smith, founder of the HAIGHT-ASHBURY Free Clinic, no relation to Roger Smith, Manson's parole officer who officed at the same clinic, told the producers of the documentary Charles Manson, The Man Who Killed the Sixties, televised in 1995 on TLC, the Learning Channel, Charlie would take LSD to reinforce the idea that he was magic. Manson and the women frequently visited Dr. Smith at the Free Clinic in San Francisco. It was where all of their important healthcare needs were met, and later Dr. David Smith used the family as a test subject in an academic book he wrote about communes. That February, Manson met another benefactor, Melba Cronkite, through a gas station service attendant. Melba owned a magnificent ranch in Malibu. She'd been quite wealthy, but by the late 60s had squandered most of her fortune. She liked Charlie and his girls and invited them to visit her ranch, where they swam in the heated pool. Later, when the family ran afoul of the law, they often used Melba as a character witness. Melba hired the women that spring to clean out her horse stables. Later, when a generous New Yorker named Michael met Manson, he didn't last long and not much else is known about him, and turned over a 1965 green Ford Mustang, Charlie gave that Mustang to Melba to thank her for all she had done for them. The staircase was in increasingly perilous condition. In late February, everyone moved into a tent where Bobby was squatting on Horseshoe Lane. Thank you for listening to the Manson family, More to the Story. In this podcast, we focus on peeling back the layers, one chapter at a time, in order to demystify the family and destroy the myths that leave us in the stone-cold dark. In our next episode, California Girls. The sun-drenched spring of 1968 brings a new wave of California girls to Charlie's circle. Wealthy, wild, and wonderfully willing. And for a brief shining moment, the family feels less like a cult in the making and more like the world's most intoxicating summer camp. The average age of Charlie's followers was dropping with every passing month. This is H. Allegra Lansing. The story of the family and the murders of 1969 have always been more than a crime story. This is a human story, and there is an imperative to understand it, because the vulnerabilities that drew those young people into darkness are not unique to them. They belong to all of us. This podcast series is drawn from my book, The Manson Family, More to the Story, published by Story Stratosphere, and is based on historical records, contemporary reporting, and archival research. Citations for this episode can be found in the show notes. All writing and most narration by yours truly. Theme music is Masked by Silent Partner, with additional scoring from Echoes of Time by Kevin MacLeod.